should stand.
People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon. It is 4:07 on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy, but this is Max World Live, so all the things that you're used to are going to be here minus one key thing, which is Mac. But hey, you know what? You're the most important person in the broadcast. That's what Mac always says, and I believe it. So as always, you can always chime in on things you hear that we talk about by calling us at 515-244-0077 or sending us a text to the Service Legends text line at 515-809-0993. If you're friends with me, Chris Roloff on Facebook, you can message me there as well, and you can chime in that way. We have had some texts that have come in. Today's broadcast, we've been talking about a lot of stuff. Covered some news at the beginning of the first hour, last hour. I'm going to recap some of those because folks might have missed those news stories if you're just joining us now. So I'm going to recap some of those. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about two things. I'm going to wrap up on a conversation that we were having a little bit ago, and that is the matter of conscience when it comes to voting. If you voted for someone who doesn't get the nomination in your party, are you going to, with a clear conscience, support that person? Maybe that's not a big deal to you. Maybe that's not a big question to you. But as a Christian, we believe that violating our conscience is kind of a big thing. And we're going to talk about that this hour. We're also going to give you some news that the Iowa Board of Regents, they oppose a ban on trafficking aborted infant remains. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to read an article for you that Caffeinated Thoughts got out. In fact, not a lot of people were reporting on this. So caffeinatedthoughts.com is a great place to go. You can read that before I get to it. But first, let me introduce you to everybody in the room today. Bob Mazzarette, the cat in the hat, is watching the chat. He's directly to my left. Bob is a lifelong lover of horses. Ever since he was a wee lad. No, that's not true. But you have been forced to like horses now, haven't you, Bob?
Forced. Absolutely forced.
Against your will. Against your will.
Yeah.
Yep. And Frank DeVerse is producing the broadcast today, and you will hear his voice quite a bit because that guy, he's got something to say. Right, Frank?
Oh, yes. I've got a lot of things to say.
He's always got something to say. And I'm Chris Roloff, but of course, it's you we want to hear from. I'm just going to go over a couple of news stories here. A couple of these things we talked about, Mac talked about already this week, but I want to give you some updated information on them. They're not huge news breaking, but they are interesting. You may have noticed that 2 buffet restaurants here in Des Moines have closed abruptly. The Des Moines Register reported that there were signs posted on the front doors at Ryan's. They're on 86th Street in Clive, and the Old Country Buffet on 14th Street in Des Moines. The sign on the doors read, notifying the customers of the closures, that the restaurant's parent company, Ovation Brands, filed for bankruptcy in Texas on Monday. That was just yesterday. And the company closed Ryan's and Old Country restaurants and other brands it owns across the country. In fact, some locations closed last month. And the employees even, according to the Des Moines Register, apparently showed up for work on Sunday morning to find the doors locked. Company officials reportedly told the workers that the restaurants were closed permanently. And as I mentioned in the first hour, I was driving down 86th Street on Monday around 1 o'clock to go pick up our new bumper stickers for 99.3 from Fast Signs. Did a great job making our new bumper stickers. And I drove by Ryan's yesterday, and at 1 o'clock, you would imagine that parking lot would just be jam-packed, but it was completely empty.
Yeah, that's just terrible.
It is. It's a sad thing, and I like eating. And Frank, first hour, admitted that Frank has a nickname. This is probably better than the verse in the voice. 7-Plate Frank. I like that one, buddy.
That's a good one. My now deceased buddy at Hertz named me that, and he just laughed like crazy. He was telling my other friend, he said, "Man, have you ever seen that guy eat?"
He can pack it up.
He said he eats like a camel. He only eats once a day, but he said he eats like a camel.
You must have a high metabolism.
He's got to. If you've never seen, Frank is not a big guy. He's tall. Frank, you're tall. What are you like?
I'm 6'1", and I go 205.
But you're a thin guy.
Yeah.
I weigh more than you.
Well,
I'm only 2 inches taller than you, man. So
I've said this often. I could probably out-eat you.
Yes.
On a good day.
Yes.
There's a very good chance. And people wonder where I put it. I don't know, but
that stomach's just ripping it up. Well, anyway, so if you're bummed out, but hey, you know what? There are other great places to eat. Maybe you can eat at home with your family. That's always my favorite place to eat. Also want to let you know, this was of concern to Mac, and maybe it's of interest to you, too. The Des Moines Register reported that the Iowa House has approved exemptions for front license plates. What does this mean? It was House File 540 originally would have done away with the current Iowa law that requires all cars to have both a front and a rear license plate. So they were discussing whether or not they were just going to get rid of these front license plates altogether. But amid concerns that it would inhibit law enforcement officers, legislators struck a compromise to exempt only those who are driving vintage cars or sports cars such as Ferraris and Corvettes. Now, what they didn't mention is Jaguars. And for those who know, Mac drives a Jaguar, so I'm actually very curious if that applies to Mac. So, Mac, find out because we want to know. But A retired state trooper voted against the bill. Balder, he's a Republican of Greenfield. He said he appreciates the amendments made to the bill in an effort to narrow the field, but he said he worries this is the first step towards moving the front license plates being removed completely. You might think to yourself, who cares? It's the front license plate. I got a license plate on the back. Why does it matter? Well, to Iowa State police officers, especially state troopers, this retired officer said, in fact, officers have technology, this is what the report said, that officers have technology that scans license plates while driving, and officers worry that removing them from the front could make it harder for them to do their job, especially when it comes to tracking down Amber Alerts. So, you're driving around and you get this Amber Alert and there's the Ford pickup truck and this is the license plate. Well, there's a lot of Ford pickup trucks running around. You see one, you got to scan that license plate as it's coming next to you. If there's no front license plate, what are you going to do? And then you do the creepy thing as a state patrol guy. You got to do that quick U-turn and that freaks somebody out. So you can't do it, especially in an Amber Alert situation. You can't do that quietly. You would alert the person that now, now I'm being tailed, and they might take off.
Well, here's an interesting little tidbit.
Interesting stuff.
Here's an interesting little tidbit exemption they've been allowing of recent. I don't think it was always the case, but if you visit the car shows in town and the vintage cars from the 70s back to the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, even the Model A's and Model T's, they will now allow the people in the state of Iowa to use the time era license plate of the time on their cars.
Is that right?
So if you got a 1965 Mustang, Camaro, whatever, you can have a Iowa 1965 style plate on your car.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. If you're into that stuff, especially, but that would look neat driving around. Hey, here's something that's completely unrelated, but if you are still, especially if you're at your desk right now and you're listening online or you're in front of a computer, this is funny to me. You remember the Garfield cartoons? Remember the comic strip, usually about 3 panels? These Garfield comic strips, they're really funny. I liked them. Garfield and his buddy Odie, they'd always get into fights. Garfield's always eating lasagna. And I want to say the guy's name was Dave, I think, but the human in it. Well, anyway, there's this guy. I think it's just one guy who did this. If you Google Garfield minus Garfield, you're going to find this website where someone has actually taken the time to Photoshop out Garfield from Garfield Comics. And you can look at the comic without Garfield in them or his thought bubbles. And actually, you'd think it would be dumb, but it's actually pretty funny. I think they're hilarious. It creates a whole new joke that has nothing to do with anything. I just think if you like Garfield like I do.
Is Garfield gone or?
No, what? Garfield, and these are still putting out. And this website puts them out every day. They got a Facebook page, and they post them and all this kind of stuff. But hey, I'm Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy. You're listening to The Truth. 99.3 FM. Thanks for finding us. Hope you're having a good time. It's always your voice we want to hear at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text. The Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. Here's the big topic. We're gonna get to something. The liberals in the United States tried to pretend like baby parts left over from the abortion were not being sold in the United States, that wasn't happening, that wasn't going around. I can't believe people pretended that wasn't happening. Obviously, that's happening in the United States. It's awful. It's atrocious. It's terrible. But the Iowa Board of Regents oppose a ban on trafficking in the state of Iowa in aborted infant remains. There was a ban proposed, and we're going to read more about this. There was a ban proposed by by some folks that would prevent, and I'm going to get to the details of it, that would prevent the trafficking of these aborted infant parts throughout the state. But the Iowa Board of Regents is opposing that ban. That's atrocious. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes, and I want to hear your thoughts on that when we can. A couple other quick news items before we go. This is sad news. In Menlo, a man was killed last night on Highway 6569 in a crash with a semi that's in Warren County there. 22-year-old Dylan Watson of Menlo died in the crash. The accident happened around 9 p.m. just north of Indianola. Sergeant Nathan Ludwig with the Iowa State Patrol says a northbound semi on Highway 6569 was trying to make a U-turn into the southbound lane using the crossover, but the trailer was still jutting out on the northbound side of 6569 when a pickup truck struck it. Officials believe that Watson, only 22 years old, the driver of the pickup truck, was not able to see the semi's trailer before he struck it. The truck ended up being wedged. The pickup truck ended up being wedged underneath the trailer. Please pray for the family of Dylan Watson. This is sad news. This just happened last night. A lot of people very sad today as they woke up and found out this terrible news. Please pray for them. You're listening to The Truth on 99.3 FM. I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live. We look forward to talking with you when we come back.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Welcome back. You're listening to 99.3 FM. It is 4:21 on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Chris Roloff. This is Max World Live. I'm filling in for Mac. And a text came in, said that I need a candy bar. And I would love a candy bar. I'd absolutely love a candy bar. Service Legends text line is 515-809-0993. That's where that text came in. What kind of candy bar should I have? Can you guess what my favorite kind of candy bar is? I'd like to hear. 515-809-0993. You can also call in with your voice at 515-244-0077. Now, there's a rumor going around on Facebook right now that Chuck Norris has endorsed Ted Cruz. He has not.
Really?
Chuck, that I know of, that's totally a rumor. It's been going around for a while. He's spoken highly. Chuck Norris has spoken highly of Ted Cruz. But the funny thing is, if Chuck Norris endorsed Ted Cruz, it's over. It's over. Chuck Norris wins. He always wins. I love these. Have you ever seen these Chuck Norris facts? You get a fact sheet. Chuck Norris died 10 years ago. The Grim Reaper is too afraid to tell him. Chuck Norris counted to infinity. Twice. When the boogeyman goes to sleep every night, he checks to see if Chuck Norris is in his closet. Chuck Norris does not sleep. He waits. Let's see, what's another one? Chuck Norris can sneeze with his eyes open. That's the creepiest thing. Have you ever seen somebody do that? It's the creepiest thing. It is absolutely the creepiest thing. When Chuck Norris touches water, he doesn't get wet. The water gets Chuck Norris. There's another one that I read. Chuck Norris doesn't read books. He stares down the book until it gives him the information he wants. Let's just say, if Chuck Norris endorses you for president, it's over.
You got it.
It's over.
That's why it was posted.
That's why it was posted. That's what people want. They just want to cower. They go, Chuck Norris is for Ted Cruz. It's over. You lose. You know, Chuck Norris fought Bruce Lee in one of the movies. Well, yeah. Did he lose? Yes. I might imagine. And everybody loses to Bruce Lee. Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the only person that could beat Chuck Norris would be Bruce Lee. That beautiful voice you just heard, that's Bob Mozzarella. He is watching the chat. He's the one who checks the chat text that you send in at 515-809-0993. Frank is producing the broadcast today, and we're just having way too much fun. We're so happy you're here. Hey, why do we care about politics? Today is an interesting day for those of us who follow politics. There's 4 more states that are going to have a caucus or a primary today. Those 4 states are Hawaii, Idaho, Michigan, and Mississippi. And amongst those 4 states, there's 150 delegates up for grabs right now. And if Frank's math was right from earlier, the difference between the number of delegates that Ted Cruz has and the number of delegates that Trump has is actually 149. So if Chuck Norris did in fact back Ted Cruz...
Hang on, back up.
I didn't say that right?
The last I saw... Trump had 384.
I didn't mean to throw him under his bus. Oh, it's gone up.
384, and Cruz had 300. So at the last I saw, there was 84 difference between the two.
Oh, even less then?
Yes.
Even less. That's a close race. That's a close race. So with 150 delegates up for grabs, this is going to be interesting. So again, in Hawaii, there's 19 delegates, and that is a winner-take-all state. Idaho, we debated on this a little bit. There's 32 delegates that are going to come out of Idaho. Frank and I maybe disagreed, or I don't really know. But it's if 50% of the popular vote goes to one candidate, they will get all in Idaho of the 32 delegates. I've also been informed that with this many people still in the race, that if one of the candidates gets more than 20%, whoever has the most and is over 20% will get all 32 delegates in Idaho, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, in Michigan, there's 59 delegates available in Michigan, so this is a big state. This is the most out of the group, 59 delegates in Michigan. And as I pointed out earlier, Republicans... When it comes to Michigan, I don't know what all people are campaigning on, but I know the Democrats right now in Michigan have this thing. They're on the money. They are on top of this Flint water thing. I know the Democrats are right on top of this. They're talking to the people. They are going to fix this problem. Really? The Democrats are. That's what they're saying, right? I'm saying that's what they're saying. I'm not saying they're going to, but that's what they're on top of. And I just don't really hear a lot of Republicans addressing the Flint, Michigan water issue. And the reality is, of the people still in the race, I could hear a very clear message from Donald Trump saying, we're going to fix this. And I think people would just buy it. They'd believe it. Okay. In Michigan, Donald Trump says, we're going to fix this water thing because we're going to make America great again.
Let me remind you, in most of the big cities, particularly Detroit, particularly Michigan, liberal Democrats have been running all the city councils, mayorships, etc. Now, Kwame Kirkpatrick, I believe he is the now imprisoned corrupt mayor, ex-mayor of Detroit, says that this Flint, Michigan thing, people's known about it for years. So this isn't something that the Republicans are responsible for. Democrats were manning the ship when all this happened. So Democrats need to point at other Democrats for their corruption for letting the people drink tainted water.
Oh, you very well, Frank. I don't disagree with that assessment. I'm just saying that I don't hear. That's not the messaging of the Republican Party right now. Doesn't seem to have much to say to the people in Flint, Michigan. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and you think I'm wrong, send us a text. The Service Legends text line is 515-809-0993, or you can call in at 515-244-0077. Hey, look, I want to switch topics just a little bit. The Iowa Board of Regents opposes a ban on trafficking aborted infant remains. This comes from caffeinatedthoughts.com. Check this out. Shane Vanderhart wrote this up. There's not a lot of people talking about this, so I'm going to read here for a little bit. So track with me, okay? This is at caffeinatedthoughts.com. House File 2329, which is a successor bill to the HSB 621 that surveyed the first funnel week, is still up for consideration in the Iowa House of Representatives. The bill, if passed, this is what the bill is. The bill, if passed, would ban the acquisition and research of aborted infant remains. The bill was voted out of the House Human Resources Committee on February 16th, but it is back up. Okay, this is being presented again. The bill reads as follows. A person shall not knowingly acquire, provide, receive, otherwise transfer, or use a fetal body part in this state, regardless of whether the acquisition, provision, receipt, transfer, or use is for, quote, valuable consideration. Now, I want to let you know who's kind of supporting this ban, supporting this bill. That would ban such activity is the Family Leader, Iowa Right to Life, and the Iowa Catholic Conference. Those people who think this is bad, that the bill is bad because it's going to stop selling of human body parts in the state of Iowa, the people who want us to be able to continue selling human body parts, the remains of aborted children, like their candy bars back and forth, trading them for high dollar. The people who are for that is the Iowa Board of Regents, along with the Iowa Annual Conference of United Methodists.
United Methodists, huh?
Yep. Interfaith Alliance of Iowa. Oh, and a big shocker, Planned Parenthood of the Heartland, Family Planning Council of Iowa, and the League of Women Voters, and the ACLU of Iowa. Man, that was hard to finish that one. Conference of United Methodists think that we should be selling baby parts. They think we should keep doing that. Because, the argument is, Bob, it's for science. You see?
That's it.
It's for science, you see? The abortion's good in a sense because, the mother doesn't want the child. We're gonna ease her conscience. We're gonna end the life of this child for her. And then, on the great flip side, we're going to use the dead baby's body parts. Excuse me, if you have children in the car, I apologize. I would not say this stuff like this in front of my child, but this is just crazy. They're going to sell the dead baby body parts, and we're going to give them to other people for science, for the greater good. For the greater good.
Let me tell you some of the spin I've heard on this. That supposedly the women who are donating these fetuses to be done this sign a waiver, and that's not actually being sold. It's just being compensated. The expenses are being compensated.
Did you watch, Frank? Did you watch any of those? The videos that the Center for Medical Progress put out, there have been a lot of these now.
I believe, yes, I've seen several, yes.
The Center for Medical Progress actually put out a video from that actually interviews some abortion workers who actually were involved in that process. These women have no idea what they're signing. That's just bureaucracy, man.
I doubt if they're even signing.
If they're even signing, you're absolutely right. That's just bureaucracy to justify this as they're not selling it.
But these are excuses that was made up after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
When they got caught, when they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, then these excuses, they signed waivers, and we're just merely being compensated back our expenses. There's no profiteering going on. Nothing to look at here. Move on.
So let me ask you the question. I want to hear your voice. Call it 515-244-0077. You can weigh on this, or you can send us a text at Service Legends text line 515-809-0993. And here's the question I have for you. Do you think that people in the state of Iowa should be allowed to do this? This is what the bill actually says. That people The bill wants to stop people from doing this. Okay, so I'm asking this to you: do you want this to happen in the state of Iowa? Do you want people to knowingly acquire, provide, receive, and otherwise transfer the use of fetal body parts in the state? Do you want people, regardless of whether the acquisition or provision or receipt or transfer or uses for valuable consideration? Do you want people in the state of Iowa to be able to buy and sell aborted baby parts? Do you want that? If you don't want that, you need to stand with people that are fighting to pass this bill to stop that kind of activity going on in the state. Because I have sad news. They wouldn't be passing this bill if it wasn't going on. They wouldn't be trying to pass this bill if it wasn't going on. It's been stopped once. It's been stopped once, and it might be stopped again. We got Paul on the line. Paul has a comment. Paul, what you say here in Max World on 99.3 FM.
How you guys doing today?
Doing well, sir. Yep.
The story's not new. Barbara Walters done this on 60 Minutes almost, I think, about 15 years ago, or maybe a little longer. It has to be a little longer. She's been retired now, but she brought this thing up when it was first coming out because that was one of the first things that actually hit the fan in the 70s and 80s was, well, we can utilize these for stem cell or improving health and everything else like this. That became a major story. So she had done this story, and people were appalled by it, and then it just went undercover, and that's all this is. This is just what's under the sheath there.
Paul, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, Paul, that's exactly what happened here just recently when the Center for Medical Progress, they put out these videos. They exposed this. Everybody was up in arms for a while. They're still putting out videos. The hype has calmed down. People just get numb to it, Paul. It's so dastardly. I think the reality is, Paul, this is such a dastardly deed that's being done in our country that we just can't stand thinking about it. I think it's exhausting to think about. So even good people just get sick of thinking about it. I get tired.
What's more appalling is churches now are starting to find some sort of benefit for this thing, or they forget the whole process of what they were there for to begin with. And the Methodist Church, some of the other Protestant outfits, they're starting to get like that, liberal, and that's the part that's getting most disgusting out of any of it.
Paul, you're absolutely right. At caffeinatedthoughts.com is where I learned about this. So you can go to caffeinatedthoughts.com. It's one of the top articles there right now. You'll see Iowa Board of Regents oppose a ban on trafficking aborted infants. And the people that are for this thing, the people that want it to be okay in the state of Iowa to continue to traffic in aborted baby parts, are the Board of Regents, along with the Iowa Annual Conference of United Methodists, the Interfaith Alliance of Iowa, of course Planned Parenthood of the Heartland, the Family Planning Council of Iowa, and the League of Women Voters and the ACLU of Iowa. Paul, thanks so much for calling. We love hearing from you, brother. You're always a pleasure. You're listening to 99.3 FM, The Truth. We got more.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Hey, welcome back. It's 4:38 on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Chris Roloff. This is Max World Live on 99.3 FM, The Truth. And in Iowa City a while back, during this presidential cycle as people were running, a young man threw a tomato at Donald Trump. And we just discovered today that he was punished for this. And we have the answer to what his punishment was. But I'm curious what you think a punishment should be for throwing a tomato at Donald Trump. You can weigh in at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at the Service Legends text line, 515-809-0993. That's something that we're coming to. I do have the answer to what the punishment was. We'll get to it in just a minute. Also, before we went to the break, Bob reminded me that we have a whole bunch of texts that came in. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge some of them. I apologize I didn't get to quick enough. What we were talking about earlier in the broadcast was, can you vote for whoever the Republican nominee is with a clear conscience if you didn't caucus for them? Or in the Democratic, if you were a Bernie Sanders supporter and now Hillary gets it, can you just go with whoever the party goes? So we've got some text that address that, right?
Right. I think the question is not if you can vote with a clear conscience. Rather, can you stay home with a clear conscience? The last two elections, I wrote in my pick, but I believe this year we need to vote against establishment. Huckabee has repeatedly said he is not endorsing anyone, but is endorsing a fair election and is against establishment. And then we have another one.
Text.
Yeah, we have another one saying not voting for whomever the eventual Republican nominee is or writing in a vote is the same as voting for Hillary. She is pure, unadulterated evil and a general in the Devil's Legion.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I'm scared I may not vote at all. Usually I vote for the lesser evil. This year I don't know if my choice doesn't get the nominee. Not even sure if there is a difference between Trump and Hillary other than party name.
Those are great texts. These were sent into the Service Legends text line at 515-809-0993. We'd love to hear your voice. Those are some great thoughts. I mean, you got folks that anybody but Hillary. There's a lot of those folks. There's some people that just, if it comes down to Hillary and Trump, I just can't stomach the idea of voting for either one of those. How would you do it? How do you vote with a clear conscience? How do you follow out your conscience? In fact, there was an article on. See if I can find it here really quick. Yeah, this is from thegospelcoalition.org on an article called What is Conscience? There's several points in this, and one of the points was, to willfully act against conscience is always a sin. Wow, that is some strong language. Do you agree with that? The Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 14, verse 23, for whatever does not proceed from faith is sin. That's Bible, folks. R.C. Sproul explains this verse saying this: if we do something that we think is sin, even if we are misinformed, we are guilty of sin. We are guilty of doing something we believe to be wrong. We act against our conscience. That is a very important principle. Luther was correct in saying, quote, it is neither right nor safe to act against conscience. So can you in good conscience vote for the person you didn't caucus for because you don't think they should be the president?
Well, let me ask you, Chris and Bob, to answer this. Will you both at least concede that Hillary's never probably created a job in her life, except maybe in the prison industry where she needs to be put? And that Trump, at minimum, will put policies into place that should be profitable for business, because he's a guy that has been an entrepreneur in his life, and he's got a business interest. His companies have business interests, and he doesn't want to see the country go down the chute. So even if you don't think he's the most conservative guy in the world, at least he would be good for business, as they would say.
Well, that's an interesting point, Bob. I mean, Frank, thank you for that. Bob, do you have anything to say to that? I mean, it's sound logic. I get where Frank's coming from.
Right, but I have till, November to make up my mind.
That's true.
I'm just saying that we can talk a lot about it, and am I really worried? Nah, I mean, really.
Right. And I think, I don't know if you were in that broadcast, we talked about that earlier. I mean, really in the grand scheme of eternity, in the grand scheme of our entire life, how important is this? Although it does affect the future of our country, I think it's going to affect policy. Obviously, President Barack Obama definitely showed us that the presidency, the role of the presidency can do some mighty things. He did some incredible stuff. Whether you liked what he did or not, he definitely affected me.
Right.
So it does affect things. Who becomes the next president of the United States? And as we've all pointed out, the reason why we're talking about this, and I really applaud all the electorate right now, especially in the Republican base, because you guys have fought hard. I mean, this race is not over. Today, 4 states are still voting, and there's 150 delegates left, which is much more than the difference between the top 2, Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, only with a few, less than 100 delegates between the two of them, according to Frank's last reading. And there's 150 delegates up for grabs today. 4 states are going to be caucusing or doing a primary today. Hawaii's got 19 delegates up for grabs. Idaho's got 32 delegates up for grabs. Michigan has 59 delegates up for grabs, and Mississippi has 40 delegates up for grabs. Yes, sir, Frank.
We had a caller. He didn't want to get on air, but he wanted to make mention that people need to pay attention not only to the federal elections, but to the state and local elections also, to put good people in place to run our state.
That's important. We've got something going on right now, don't we? We've got some midterm stuff, don't we?
Yeah. I'm getting emails that are coming in.
Throw out grand stall
for the right. That's is that your opinion, Frank?
Yes, and I don't know if the particular judge that helped usher in gay marriage is up or not, but he needs to not be retained. So pay attention to who that one is, and his name escapes me right now, but he may be up for retention this go round.
Yeah, thank you so much for that input. We had a caller call in at 515-244-0077. You can do just what that person did. You don't have to be on the air, but we do love to hear from you. You can send us a text if you're into that. You can send us a text to 515-809-0993. But I would be amiss to not go back to what we were talking about a little bit before.
Before you do that, we had a comment on what your favorite candy bar is.
Yes. We had a text come in earlier that Chris needed. That's me. I'm Chris. That I needed a candy bar. Someone get me a candy bar, which I would love to have one.
Okay.
Love to have one. So what is my favorite candy bar guess?
The guess is, wait a minute.
Where'd it go?
I just got another text that kind of threw me off here. But I think, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Ooh, that's my wife's favorite. Yeah, that's a good guess. Yeah.
Are you a Snickers kind of guy?
The problem is I'm a bit of a pragmatist. So
since you've been eating a lot of peanuts, we would say maybe you're a Snickers kind of guy.
Snickers is hearty. At one point, Snickers was actually called a marathon bar early on, and it was actually considered to be kind of an early energy bar. I mean, that's how it was originally pitched, and they're kind of going back to that now because it gives you that pack of energy. Jill King, actually, I think she's right. Jill King just messaged me on Facebook, and she said Butterfinger, and I think the reality is I like a Butterfinger. They're very good. That's also Mac's favorite. That's also Mac's favorite.
That's your favorite too?
They're good. But you know why? I think I've recently fallen in love with them because Mac had a bowl of them in his office, and I would just go in and steal them from him all the time. So that's kind of what happened.
We got a text response for what Frank was saying about Trump.
Okay.
The logic that at least Trump is good for business all other things being equal, is the same logic as at least Mussolini made the trains run on time.
Frank, that was a chew, buddy. That was a Service Legends text at 515-809-0993. What do you think about that, Frank?
Well, yeah, that's the idea that a broken clock is right twice a day, and et cetera, that a blind squirrel can find an acorn every now and then. But I stand by my position. I mean, look, what's your odds that Hillary's indicted? If she's not indicted and it comes down to Hillary and Trump, you're going to be faced with this decision, Hillary or Trump. Then what are you going to do? I mean, you can talk a good game, but when it comes down to that vote, do you want Hillary?
Well, and here I'm going to weigh in on that a little bit. Here's been something that I've said. Now, as Bob pointed out, and that's a good point, Frank. As Bob pointed out, we've got till November to figure this out. But with Hillary Clinton, even though I'm going to get things I don't like, I know what those things are. With Donald Trump, I might get things I don't like, and I don't know what those are going to be. That concerns me. I'm Chris Roloff. You're listening to 99.3 FM, The Truth. We've got more.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, and 5 o'clock with Salem Radio Network News is coming up just a few minutes, and you're going to get informed on all kinds of things going on across our country today. So stick tuned for that. Followed by the Bible Answer Man, Hague Handicraft program. It's a national program. If you'd like to get in, if you got a Bible question, maybe you're reading something in your devotional this morning and you came across it and you go, gosh, I don't know that I understand that. You prayed about it, and you want another opinion. Because that's all Hank's going to give you is an opinion, right? But
right.
It's an opinion worth getting. If you want to get another opinion of a guy who thinks about a lot of this stuff often, the number to call is 1-888-ASK-HANK. And yes, even cell phones got the little letters in there so you can figure it out. I apologize, I don't know what the number is, but that's coming up next hour. I'm Chris Roloff. This is Mac's World Live. Mac is out today. If you were wondering where he's at, he's standing by his woman. His wife had foot surgery today, and he is with her, being a good guy. Frank, to my right, is producing the broadcast today. He's done a great job. About 2 hours of broadcasting. It's been absolutely blast. We're so glad that you're here. Frank's been doing a great job weighing in on stuff. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, is here as well to my left. And this is us, and we've had you sending us lots of text about all the different things that we've been talking about. And I have been reminded that I don't want to forget this before we go. I asked a question. There was a gentleman in Iowa City relatively recently who chucked tomato at Donald Trump. And he was sentenced just recently. And I've been asking the question, what do you think that sentence was? What do you think that penalty was? Well, here's the answer. In Iowa City, a man was accused of throwing a tomato at Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, and he has pleaded guilty. The Iowa City Press Citizen reports that the 28-year-old Andrew, don't know how to say his last name, sorry, buddy, pleaded guilty on Monday to disorderly conduct in a plea agreement with the prosecutor. The University of Iowa police and U.S. Security Service officers arrested him in January during a Trump rally at the University of Iowa. The officers say they saw Andrew throw 2 tomatoes toward Donald Trump during a speech. The tomatoes did not hit the presidential candidate, but police say the maximum punishment he could have faced would have been 30 days in jail or $625 fine. Court documents show that under the plea deal, he only had to pay $65. So the question, Bob, is, would you spend $65 to throw 2 tomatoes at Donald Trump? Don't answer that. You're gonna get in
No, I
trouble.
wouldn't do
You
that.
wouldn't do that. Frank, would you do it for $65?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you guys are good. You guys
But
are
I
nice
might
people.
pay somebody $65 to chuck a tomato at somebody else I'd like to see get hit with the tomato, and I won't say her name, but you might guess who she is.
Rhymes with Billary,
Hillary, Billary.
Right. All right, man. Well, we've been having a great time today, but there's been some serious stuff that we've talked about. I want you to know that the reason why we've talked about can you vote with a clear conscience is because this Republican race, as well as the Democratic race, is not over yet, and we've got 4 states that are deciding today. They're going to primary, they're going to caucus today, and the gap between the 2 front runners at this time in the Republican Party are very close between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. And to all you Ted Cruz supporters out there, I just got to say, you guys have fought really hard. Trump machine has just been incredible getting out there and just getting people excited. I don't know if you saw, I was going to play this, but I didn't. Absolutely hilarious. Donald Trump at a rally recently actually asked there's like 1,000 plus people in this rally. And he asked all of them to raise their right hand and swear. And repeat after me, I will support Donald Trump. It was a fascinating video. If you haven't seen it, Google Donald Trump swear right hand or something like that. It's a hilarious video. He was just on adrenaline running, but of course all these people have gone crazy. Trump's like Hitler. He's getting people to raise their right hand and swear allegiance to Donald Trump. He's just trying to get people to go out and vote.
That was an attempt to get people to vote for him in the upcoming Florida event.
It may be
against Rubio, because both Trump and Cruz have now stated they want to knock Rubio out of Florida so that they can go one-on-one. And Trump thinks he's got the advantage because Cruz isn't going to play well up north.
Before we go, I want to remind you guys of something going on here it's serious. We've been having a lot of fun today, but go to caffeinatedthoughts.com. It's a great website. Shane Vanderhart and Brian Myers host Caffeinated Thoughts Radio. You can listen to that radio program every Saturday here on 99.3 at 8 a.m. I know many of you are regular listeners to that broadcast, but if you're frequent to caffeinatedthoughts.com, you've already seen this. If you've never been to caffeinatedthoughts.com, I encourage you to do this. Not a lot of people are reporting on this. Basically, there's a House file right now. It's House File 2329. And it is a ban on trafficking aborted infant remains here in the state. There's a bill right now to stop basically the selling of baby body parts in the state of Iowa. A group of folks have gotten together to back this bill. Supporting the bill are, of course, the Family Leader, Iowa Right to Life, and the Iowa Catholic Conference have supported this bill. The bill reads, here's part of it. It says, quote, "A person shall not knowingly acquire, provide, receive, otherwise transfer, or use a fetal body part in this state," being Iowa, "regardless of whether the acquisition, provision, receipt, transfer, or use is for, quote, valuable consideration." This is a direct attack at all those people who say, hey, you know what? Having an abortion has 2 benefits. The pregnant mother who didn't want the child is free from that, quote, burden. And the child now can be given to science, and that's a good thing. Well, this bill, House File 2329, is coming back. It was actually stopped. It's being re-put up, and it's going to be voted on this week. So please pray about this. House File 2329. I want to call out the people who think that we should continue to do this, that we should continue to traffic in human body parts. The Iowa Board of Regents the Iowa Alliance Conference of United Methodists, the Interfaith Alliance of Iowa, Planned Parenthood of the Heartland, no shocker there, Family Planning Council of Iowa, and the League of Women Voters, and the ACLU of Iowa. And on the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993, we had a great listener text in and say, I'm a Methodist, and I'm not for selling baby parts. Right on.
And we do have that text.
Yeah, I remember that, Bob. You shared that with us in the break, and I love that. I love that. I don't say that if you're a Methodist. I don't say that. I just say that shocked me. That's the heartbreaking thing here. That there are church groups that are for this kind of activity in the state, and that's just sad. So again, this bill needs to pass out of the Iowa House and pass out of the Iowa Senate Committee this week in order to survive the second funnel week. So please pray that this bill gets seen, gets passed, gets voted on. It's House File 2329. It's just sad that that's happening in the state. It'd be great to put an end to that. So anyway, Mac is out. He is not here with us today because he is standing by his woman. His wife is having foot surgery today, and we pray for her and for Mac. The surgery goes well and that he would enjoy his time with his wife. Thank you so much for listening. I'm slowing down. I need a Butterfingers. Bob, it was great to have you with you. Great to be with you. Frank, it was good to have you with me today. And I'm so thankful for all the people who sent in texts and called in and shared their voice on this stuff. Hey, you know what? It's just a Tuesday. Your week is just getting started. You got a long week left. But your family's important. Your coworkers are important. The people on the road are important that you're passing by. That guy that cut you off that's sped up on you, that person who's right behind you. Pray for him, okay? Thanks.